Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial I'm going to be sharing with you how to cut a corset with a collar. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So first, to start, here is my pattern paper and I've gone ahead to mark out all my basic measurements. So here's my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, shoulder to waistline, and I marked 5 inches to get the basque length of this top. So the next thing you're going to do is to go ahead to mark your shoulder divided by 2. And from there I'm going to come down by 1 inch and I will be drawing my shoulder slope to the upper part of my shoulder. So the next thing you want to consider is your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I'll just go ahead to draw a straight line at that point. Now after marking that, I'll be marking what I have on the shoulder, which is my shoulder divided by 2, and I'm going to connect and draw a straight line. I'll go ahead to draw my armhole curve. To do that, I'm going to divide what I have at the shoulder into 2 and then go ahead come out by ½ inch, and at the chest line I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll go ahead to connect from that point all the way to the armhole and I will be taking it to the upper part of my pattern. So after I'm done doing this, I'm going to head over to the lower part of my pattern where I'll be marking out my dart intake. To mark my dart intake is my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5, and I'm just going to go ahead to mark this all the way to the lower part. And after I'm done marking this, I'm going to place my ruler and I will be connecting all those dots that I made at that point. So I'm going to mark till I get to the end of my pattern. And also for this tutorial, I'll be using a straight dart for this pattern. So after I'm done doing this, I'll go ahead to mark my dart intake of 1 inch at both sides of my pattern, and I'll also repeat it at the lower part. And then I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'm going to connect to draw a straight line. I'll also place my ruler and I will also repeat this on the other side of my pattern and I will draw a straight line. To draw the cup part of this corset, I'm going to place my curved ruler touching the bust down to the under bust and repeat this at the other side of the pattern also. So after I'm done doing that, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches above my chest line. And at this line, I'll extend my nipple to nipple line again at this point and I'll draw a straight line. I'll be marking my dart intake of 1 inch at both sides of this pattern and I'll place my curved drill to connect it all the way up. And I'll also repeat this at the other side of my pattern and I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline this to make it more visible for you to see. So after I'm done doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to insert my body measurement. At the bust, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Now I'll measure this that I have here and I will replace it here. And also, if you don't want to use that dart, you can as well go ahead to measure the one you have on top and replace. So I added ½ inch for my sewing allowance. At the under bust, I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and I'll be adding my sewing allowance to it. Now at the waistline, I'll take 2 inches out of my waistline. My waistline is 28 minus 2, I have 26. I'll divide it by 4 and I will mark, measure the dart intake, replace, and I will add my sewing allowance. Now I'm just going to come down by 2 or 1 inch after my waistline, or you can also leave it at your waistline. It totally depends on what you want exactly, but for me I went down by 1 inch from my waistline. So after that, I'll just go ahead and place my curved drill connecting all the way from the bust to the under bust to the waist, and I will stop at that point. I'll go ahead and use my marker and outline this. After I'm done doing this, what I'm going to do is to go ahead to work on the upper part of my cup. So for my bust, I came down by 1 inch and I'll be going in by half. From that point, I'll just go ahead to draw out my cup, and if you notice at that point, it is like a V or a slanted line. So I'm just going to leave about 1 inch at the cup on top of that place, and I'll go ahead to extend it all the way to the shoulder and also to the other side. So when you join your cup, this will be the part that you'll be attaching your collar to. So after that, I'll go ahead to draw out the cup part. I'll place my curve drill this way, connect it from that point all the way to the under bust. So after cutting out, this is what I have, and I'm going to go ahead to use my marker to outline the rest of my pattern. So after outlining this, we'll also work on the other side of our cup. So for this strand, you can just decide to add it after sewing your corset, or you just cut it together as one piece. So I'll divide what I have from my shoulder to my bust circumference into two, and I'll place my curve through and I will connect. From that point, I'll just outline my cup and then extend it all the way. So while drawing this out, I'll go up a little and then blend it to my armhole or chest line, and then blend the upper part of my pattern. So after I'm done doing that, I'm just going to blend this up or blend it together, then go ahead to connect from that point at my waistline and extend it all the way to the lower part. So this is what I have right now, and the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to draw out the collar. So if you notice, the dress has a collar, and you're just going to draw out what you want at the collar part. So what I'm going to do now is to place another pattern paper underneath it, and I'm going to be tracing out the collar on it. So I'm going to be using my pencil to also do that, or you can just go ahead to use your tape and just measure out what you want. So I'll just go ahead and I will retrace what I have at that point, and I'll just use my pencil to draw it out. And I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out. So there are two ways of attaching this collar. So it's either after you're done sewing, you're just going to flip it to the side and then top stitch, or before joining your corset to the lining piece, you can just go ahead to sew the collar on top of it this way, and after that, as you're using your lining to turn it up, you're going to turn it up together. So here is the little strap at the end of the dress that you're going to use in tying the bow at the sleeve part. You can just cut this together or attach extra fabric while you're sewing. So here is the collar, and you're going to be placing it on this just like I explained. After sewing your corset, you can just go ahead to top stitch it, or before turning it, cut it together with the cup area and then turn it with the lining. So after this, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out this pattern. So if you have any question regarding this particular tutorial, please don't forget to also leave the question at the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button. So after I'm done cutting, this is what I have, and next we'll be moving over to the back pattern. And to work on the back pattern, I'm just going to go ahead to place this on another pattern paper. So this is like the easiest way to cut out your back pattern without having to go ahead to remark your basic measurements again. All I'm going to do is to pin this on another pattern paper. So after pinning from here, I'm just going to fold this up so that the back and the front waistline will be matching, and I'll also place this way so that I will have a straight line at that point. So after doing that, all I'm going to do is just to go ahead and use my scissors to cut this out, and I'll also trace out the upper part of this pattern. After I'm done tracing this out, I will be using my ruler to draw out a straight line to make sure that it matches at the chest line area, and I'm going to leave this up and I will connect. So after that, I'll just go ahead and cut this out, and I will unpin my pattern. And after unpinning my pattern, I'll go ahead to mark the lacing bar area. So for the lacing bar area, you can just use whatever you like. So for the back is a bit open, so you can use 2.5 or 3 inches. And also the back at the lower part is a bit slanty. You can decide to make yours straight or you can just slant yours. So I'll just go ahead and make a dot to indicate that that is the lacing bar area, and I'll cut this out. And also after cutting out, I'll be notching the upper part so that I will know the part that is the upper part and the lower part, because it looks similar. And another thing you want to do is to go ahead and cut out the strap for the back also this way. So with this, we've come to the end of today's tutorial.